Expectation versus reality. Once you show up in '05, A, do you remember how many guys showed up and versus how many graduated? And B, what was it like compared to what you were expecting?
Oddly, I mean, it was hard. It was hard. It's different hard, like, you're not surf tortured and that sort of thing. And it's just mentally harder. Like, they're just, the mental gymnastics, like the CQB was extremely strict, right? But I did really well at the CQB and the marksmanship. The thing I struggled with the most during that training was because I wasn't free fall qualified yet. So I had to do that during my selection. And normal MFF, I think, is like 2.5 weeks at Yuma, or 2 weeks or 3. I don't know. I didn't go. They knocked us out in 5 days.
Wow.
So we had to do all that in 5 days. And then it was right into nighttime combat equipment. Like, it was a very
Steep curve.
So that's probably the hardest part for me, because I did really good in the CQB and the marksman, like all that stuff. Jumping was, just whatever. And I've never been like I was never the jump on weekends guy anyway. like not my thing.
Yeah.
We have to do 5 jumps today. As soon as 5 were done, I was done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here for, like, I took every part of being a SEAL. I took to the nth degree, minus maybe jumping.
I was the same way. Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It never really did anything for me.
It wasn't going to be a hobby.
Right. Do you remember how many guys started?
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I think it was like, I want to say it was like we had between 40 and 50 start, and half of them only made it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like a 50%-ish, and mostly due to safety violations and CQB.
Did any of the guys who didn't make it surprise you?
Yeah.
And did some of the guys that did make it surprise you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems to be a recurring theme. 'Cause similarly, I remember being at Team 3 and doing platoons with guys that went and made it, and I was like, how the fuck did that guy make it?
Yeah.
I mean, not that they were
Yeah.
shitty guys. It's just I was like, of all of the guys, like, I would not have, but on the other side, there were guys that's like, dude, that guy's going to
Studs.
go there and smoke it, and they don't make it. It's just such a weird mix. But
Well, I mean, and it's a lesson you learn in buds. Like, I mean, my memory's kind of shady on this, but like, I want to say we had around, for some reason, the number 187 stands out. Like, we started with that, or somewhere around, let's call it 190. And then you just kind of look at like around and you're like, gosh, that guy is jacked, or that guy is so fast, or this guy is such a good swimmer. And like 2 weeks in, if you like took a photo of everyone, like a panorama, you would like circle the people you think are going to make it. Like, you'd almost always be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know for sure, like, if you looked at my class, and we graduated with 22, like 19 of which were from the original 190-ish, right? So that's 10% from that. You would have never circled me or most of the people that made it through. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of hard to judge a book, by its cover, judge by appearances, or even like sometimes pedigree and whatever,
I agree. To me, and I mean, I never went to DEVGRU, so obviously it's more of an assumption, but with buds, there's more of a physical aspect to it, so
Yeah.
to me, it's easier to be surprised by that, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas with DEVGRU, it's like you've done platoons, it's the same thing, just at a higher level, so it's
Yeah.
like guys that maybe, especially like anything kill house related, like maybe weren't that great, or, made a bunch of dumb mistakes or whatever, and then other guys that were just shit hot. And the guy that you're like, this guy barely keeps up in our platoon, and he made it, and this guy who was running training didn't. Like, to me, that was the big difference for me.
And sometimes having been, having worked in traded assaults CQB and then going through that, the one thing I would say is They do make you change certain things. And if you're really good one way, it might be harder than if you just weren't. It's like teaching someone to shoot who's never really shot. Right. They don't have the bad habits, right? So I think that there might be some of that. And I would say, like, they, like, back then, I mean, it was like going from the West Coast was for sure harder. Like, just because, like, you didn't know as many people. The trade may have taught things differently on the West Coast as compared to the East Coast, which was all ex guys from there, right? So it was more uniform. And, it's like riskier. Like, man, you leave team 5, team 1, team 3, or now I guess team 7, like as a, one of the guys getting like the EP, and now you're going to go start all over and maybe not make it through. Like,
it's a bigger gamble for sure.
And back then, if you didn't make it through, like the detailer told us this, full stop. If you don't make it through, you're going to SDV2 because they are short. So they weren't like, at some point they started like what, TAD? Like, so if you don't make it through, you could go back to your team, but like,
not them.
They told us like, hey, if you don't make it through, like, you're going to SDV2.
Wow.
And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Guess we're going to make it. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, and my
burn
wife and I,
it.
like, we actually, I mean, I was just got orders there. And we bought a house. So I'm like, I'm going to make it.
You're burning all the boats.
Yeah, I totally burned the boats.
What squadron did you go to?
Gold.
Which was the squadron involved in Extortion 17, which I know was the worst day in the community's history. I am curious, going from 2 platoons at Team 5, make it through Green Team, now you're at Dev Group, you go to Gold Squadron. What was it like checking in there?
I mean, like mystique, you're looking around and you're just put all, like I mean, especially when you first make it through your training, you're putting people on a pedestal. You're like, how did they, like, they're here, they're, you know what I mean? Like, and you just really, it was humbling. And eventually you kind of you just kind of realize, like, don't put anyone on a pedestal. Like, just kind of that combination of, it like teaches you a lot of humility. And I would say it also makes you confident, but it's like, your confidence comes from your humility because you've done the work. You're humble enough to know you need to work hard, and you're confident because you've prepared. And all the things you learn in the, at Team 5 or wherever else, your individual skills, like, you're just honing them a little sharper. A little better, a little faster, or whatever, but you have more time and more money to do it, right? Like, when you're a Team 5 or Team 1 or Team 3 or Team Set, like, you're just not going to have the time to shoot as much. Like, at Dev Group, you keep a gun in your locker, right? You check out you get some ammo and go shoot on your own. So you have more resources for that. But like you just hone your individual skills so sharply, and then you take teamwork to the next level. Leadership is taken to the next level because you're on a 6-person assault team, and the junior guy's an E7, who's done 2 platoons already or whatever. Right. So it's all the same. It's just like more money, more experience. You know what I mean? It's taken to that, and the stakes. The stakes are high, but the stress is high. You got to perform on demand, and the one thing I remember the most there is like it is not my time there, and that's the longest I spent in any one place was at Dev Group. The thing I remember the most is someone every year from a squadron is getting booted, right? Like for something, usually safety violation or something, right? Mostly, I'm not talking like a fight or an alcohol incident or whatever. I'm talking more operationally and like, just like occurred to me. And like, I heard this later, like on a podcast, and I kind of poached it, but, success wasn't purchased. It was rented, and you had to pay that rent every single day. 'Cause you were almost like maybe like on an NFL roster and someone wanted your spot. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, it makes you earn it every day, and nothing's guaranteed. Like, don't get comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't get complacent. Don't get comfortable.
Right.
Yeah. And it was, and like the thing, I mean, that's where I got, that's kind of how I got into climbing. And I wouldn't even say I'm into it. Like, I showed up, me and one other new guy show up into our team, and the team leader is like, the other new guy was bigger and like bulkier. So he's like, breacher. And then he points at me and he's like, you're going to be a climber. Have you climbed before? I'm like the O course, like, no. And then, I mean, the amount of climbing, I had done some, rappelling off a cliff in Kodiak at Team 5. You know what I mean? Like
nothing.
Went to
a rock gym once.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I get kind of pigeonholed into climbing. Right. And I go like everything there is a ramp up. So I do some like training at the command. I do a 4-day trip out to Red Rocks, Las Vegas, with the squadron climbers. And
That's
then
a shitty place to train.
It wasn't bad. And then we do another 4-day trip to Arapalie, which is in Australia, which was like really cool. So now I have 8 days of sit harness climbing on real rock, not counting rock gym or like the crazy climbing we did at the VBSS climbing we did, right? Which I won't go into, but I got 4 days of rock climbing. And did you ever know Heath Robinson?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was just like, undeniable. Like he had come up with this idea, like we were going to go climb El Cap. I'm like, I don't even know what El Cap is, And there's some climbers on the team, and they're like, well, it's this big wall, man. It's epic. Like they're talking like climbers. It's like totally exposed. And like, I'm like, what? Like, I might look like a surfer. I am a farmer. Right. And, they're like,
that's so classic, man. That impression's perfect.
Yeah. We're going to go climb El Cap. And I'm like, so then I'm like, I look it up. I'm like, wait a second. Like it takes 3 days and you have to spend 2 nights on a cot on the side
Stapled
of
to the fucking mountain.
I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. Right. But now I'm like, I have to do it because the climbers are doing it. So I end up like, okay, we're going to go do this. And, so the 9th time in my life that I had ever like climbed rock was a training day on El Cap. Right. So we're practicing aid climbing and portaledge, building the portaledges, which are the cots you sleep on, and then practicing hauling gear. Because you have to like, you have a couple gallon of water a day and your food. And like, so everyone starts off with like 100 and some pounds, but you can't climb with that. So you climb and then you have a pulley system to pull it back up. Right. So we're practicing aid climbing, building the portaledges, and hauling for a day, maybe 2, right? So now I'm like, I have 10 days of rock climbing, and then day 11 or whatever, we like, as they would say, we're going to send it, man. And I'm just like, oh, like, so we go for it, right? And like, I think like the first night, my team, we're each doing a different route. So we're taking turns on lead. We have a guide, but we're leading. So he's just there to help. And I think on our route, there was one pitch that was just too hard, like the guide led it. But like we led all the pitches and cleaned them and hauled the gear and all that. And like the first night, maybe like, I don't know, 600 feet off the ground and somewhere around there. The early part of this pitch was more than vertical. So it goes like that before it goes to vertical. And right where it's still, I guess concave like that, my portal edge is like, so I'm 600 feet off the ground ish or something like that, 600 feet, whatever it was. And my portal edge isn't even touching the wall. It's just like
hanging,
and it's blowing in the wind. And I'm just like, what am I like? That was like much scarier than a hey-ho. Right? And then like the next day, so the first night, portal edge. The next day we climb all day, portal edge. Next day we climb all day, and maybe 5 o'clock at night, I do the last pitch, right? Mantle over the top, tie it to a tree. The team climbs the rope that the rest of the team climbs it. We summit on the third day, but spend the third night on top. And then the next day, it's like this, off the backside, you hike, and there's like 2 or 3 like 200-foot rappels, like hike, rappel. And it's like, it's kind of a crazy adventure. And then we finished, we go back to the where we had parked the van, and one of the climbing nerds that was with us, he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, that's Alex Honhold. He was in the meadow, like looking up at looking up at El Cap. At the time, he's like a teenager, but he's already on the rock climbing books or magazines, which of course I haven't read because like,
you have no idea.
I'm like, who's that? Like, I have no clue. And they're like, he's kind of an up and coming climber. And like, fast forward, he's the guy who
done everything.
Well, he climbs El Cap without a rope, and they make the movie Free Solo.
Yeah.
So I'm like that's the El Cap story.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
How challenging was that physically for you at that time?
Physically, like, I learned like early on, like sometimes people that are really good at like upper body, they don't climb well because they don't trust their feet. And we had great climbing guides, so I learned how to trust my feet. And then, of course, like aid climbing is different. Like with aid climbing, you can't really hold on to stuff. You're putting a piece in that then hooks to like this nylon ladder that you stand on, right? So I would say like physically, not as hard as a lot of things we've both done. But mentally, as hard as anything I've done. Wow. Like they say, I mean, you want to talk about focus. Like when you're over 1,000 feet off the ground and you're putting in a piece that is going to support all your weight, it's just like you are very present in that space and in that moment. Like you're not like
hyper focused.
You're not like, what am I going to make for dinner? You know what I mean? Like you're really there. Right. So, and if we're like together on a rope team and I'm going to hand you a Nalgene bottle, like it's not casual. It's like
there's a nuclear reactor.
Yeah.
In it.
I wait till you have 2 hands on it. I'm like, do you have to wait? And then I let go. Like everything's pretty epic.
Yeah. Everything's super intentional.
I mean, yeah, your nerves are fried after that. Like,
what is the total elevation gain in that?
El Cap has a bunch of different routes on it. I think the nose, I would have to look it up. I think it's like over 2,000 feet, maybe 2,500 straight.
Yeah.
And then it's like along the side, they gradually get a little bit shorter, right? So I don't know. We climbed, anyone could look it up. It's called the Tangerine Trip,
Wow.
which is something a climber would name it. It's probably tripping on something. And I want to say it was more than 1,500, less than 2,000.
Yeah.
So, but it's a sheer wall, right? Like, and then I would later climb Denali and Aconcagua, those are physically demanding. At least the routes we did. We did not super technical routes on either. Like El Cap is all technical, but the routes we did on Denali and Aconcagua were like Denali. There was some rope work. It was minimal. I mean, you're always roped up because of crevasses. And then there's a few places where you're doing some like kind of, climbing a wall with a ice tool. But mostly just a really hard hike. But like those two mountains, physically much more demanding than El Cap,
Right.
but not as mentally, and they're different. Like El Cap's a big wall, and then Denali and Aconcagua are just big mountains.
Right. Yeah. So that was like right when you checked in, basically. Like that was your first kind of thing that
Forward.
you did at DEVGRU.
Well, so my first trip, it's very similar to like Team 5. You have your individual skills and then your unit level stuff, but then you have like a different period and then you deploy. So my first work up there, we did like some Red Rocks. The next time around, I did the other climbing trip in Australia. And then we did El Cap the following year.
So
And then after that, we kind of like, because Heath was kind of leading the charge on all this, and again, he's undeniable. So or was, rest in peace, Heath. But he he just kind of shifted focus. Like, that big wall stuff was kind of maybe not what we're gonna do. He shifted, and we all kind of got behind it. Like, let's start going after like mountains, and there was. Like back in the day, like there were some guys at DEVGRU who had climbed, El Cap, very few. And then there was one or two that had gone on to climb Denali. And then, guy named Tom Valentine,
Yeah.
Tommy V, he had climbed Denali like one of the few guys early on who had climbed it. So after he died, we were like, hey, let's climb Denali and do it in his honor, right? So that was one of the reasons we did that. And then we kind of got the bug like, oh, let's try to knock out a few of the 7 summits, which is the highest point on each continent. Like, fully knowing the Navy was not going to let us climb Everest, but
But why not?
but what, like, especially back then, it was like, like we could sell it, and we had money for it. So, yeah.